everyone, thank you for listening to us today. My name is Michelle, this is Cecilia, and this is Isabel. And we're going to talk to you guys about contrasting cultural values. Just an overview of what we're going to discuss. We're going to talk about what culture is, some different characteristics about culture. We're going to give you a study called Hofstede's 6 Dimensions. We're going to compare 4 different countries. So we have the United States, we have France, we have Colombia, and we have Uruguay. And we're going to give y'all some examples of different cultures and what the 4 countries don't have in common. And we're also going to tell you why it's important to even know these cultures. Because whether or not you're going to go there, it is important to know. So let's get started.
So culture are the languages, the beliefs, the values, the norms and attitudes that are taught by the family and friends, people close to you.
Now, when you think about cultural values, think about how you were raised. What are the values that your culture instilled in you? So if someone were to come up to you that you don't know to give you a hug, will you feel like you're being invaded with your space, or is that okay? In most countries like South America, every country in South America just about, that's normal. But in the United States, we don't want to have that personal boundary crossed. Now, every culture has 5 main characteristics that they share. You have the learned, shared, based on symbols, integrated, and dynamic. Hofstede's study is about 6 dimensions. It's the power distance index, individualism versus collectivism, masculinity versus femininity, uncertainty avoidance index, the long-term versus short-term, and orientation, and indulgence versus restraint.
So power distance means how a society works. Does everyone has the same rights? Everything is equal? Well, not every country is like that. For example, France has, like Colombia and Uruguay, have a high number, which means there's a hierarchy. There's people that have more rights than others. But for example, in the United States, people are more equal. They have the same rights.
Yeah, in the United States, we can start from the bottom and make it to the top if we work hard enough at it. We're not born into a certain thing that we know, like we'll never make it to the top because we were born into this certain family. Individualism is whenever a society is more about I and about me rather than about we. So as you can see in the United States, we are very individualistic, and we do things based off of ourselves and based off of what's good for us as an individual, rather than in some countries like Colombia, for instance, where they have a very high collectivism, so they're very low in the individualistic category. So they want to do what's good for their society as a whole and their family as a whole, rather than just for themselves.
Oh yeah, it's all about that group mentality. What's best for the group? Now, with masculinity, a higher score, and femininity, a higher score means more masculine, and a lower score means more feminine. In Colombia, Uruguay, and the United States, masculinity is high because we're very competitive. We want to be the best. We want to be on top and everyone to see it. Whereas in France, with a lower score, they're about the group succeeding, and helping each other out.
Yeah, for example, Uruguay also has a low score, and one characteristic from that country is that it is one of the only countries in South America where abortion is legal, which gives the woman more rights to choose. Then uncertainty avoidance means, for example, a country where they want to innovate with new things, when they want to keep improving and they try it, like for example, United States. And other countries, maybe like Uruguay, they try to just stay with what they know because it works.
They try to avoid the uncertain. It kind of says it in the thing. So you can see in the United States, we want to innovate. We may not know something is certain, but we will still go for it. And long-term orientation. So it's thinking more about the future, thinking about what you're going to do for a long time rather than short time. Any type of job or anything that you do, you're thinking of long-term effects rather than just short-term.
Oh yeah, because sometimes it's about for a short-term orientation about having what you want now, rather than thinking about the future, which is more of that long-term orientation. Now, indulgence versus restraint. You can see that Colombia and the United States is on a higher indulgent level, whereas Uruguay is in the middle, and then France is a little bit lower. Now, granted, the United States, what I mean by indulgent is we want to ban drugs, yet the United States is one of the highest drug users in the world. In Colombia, they just want to relax, enjoy their time. They want to indulge in the best things in life. And indulgence also is considered more weak. You're a weaker person. But restraint, you're stronger. You have more restraint.
Makes sense. So some different examples of how we view different things in different cultures.
Well, gifts. If you were to do business in, let's say, Colombia, you'd have to bring a gift. At least it's normal to do that. It's better for the relationship. Say I'm from Louisiana and I want to do business with someone in Colombia. I'm going to bring them something from home, maybe some Zatarain's or Tony Chachere's or jambalaya mix. It shows that you actually care.
Yeah, but if you are in the United States and somebody's coming to you and brings you a gift, that could be perceived as a bribe, and that bribes are illegal. So you have to be really aware that if you're from a different country coming to the United States, we might feel a little off-put if you bring us something, because we don't expect that. That's not a cultural norm here.
Yeah, contrary to Uruguay, where one of the typical gifts is to bring a wine bottle, in France, that would be an insult, because it's one of the best things that France has. So chocolate and wine are type of gifts that they will never be accepted, and normally you will never get that gift in just if you have a relationship with the person.
Yeah, and back on the gifts, the United States can bring gifts, but usually it's at a max of $25. So if we're going to France and we're bringing them wine that's $25, like Cecilia said, that's an insult. Like, they want something that's way more expensive than that, because that's a specialty there.
And they probably don't want to do business with you after that.
Yeah, exactly.
Then time is another thing. For example, when you have a meeting in France, you need to be at least 15 minutes before the time of the meeting, because if you're late, you can guess that your business is over with that person.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in South American cultures, especially Colombia, time is flexible. So if you say you're going to be there at 5 o'clock, that person should expect you to be there probably around 6:30. But it's normal, you know. They're not so uptight about it, and I mean, it's part of the laid-back mentality they have.
And that's not like the United States. You have to be like 10 minutes early or you're late. And so if you're coming from a different country to the United States, you want to make sure that you're on time or early, because they might not want to do business with you after that because you're late. Like, we can't be late to class. So yeah, it just makes sense.
Or don't show up, right?
Yeah, or don't show up. So personal space is another big difference. So in the United States, we aren't used to touching all the time, and we're not used to people kissing us on the cheek. That's just not normal here. But in other countries, like, that's completely opposite.
Oh yeah, you greet somebody by giving them a hug, a kiss on the cheek. If you don't do that, they think that maybe you just don't like them or there's something wrong. And that can be really difficult for business, because if you don't trust the other person, you're not going to be able to have a good business relationship.
Contrary to the example of Colombia, for example, in France, you give a really short handshaking, and even sometimes if it is a superior, you won't even don't have any type of physical contact.
Yeah, and there's also high context versus low context cultures. So some differences is how low context cultures, do y'all want to remember?
Well, low context culture is considered like Japan or the United States. All these things that we've been talking about, personal space, time, they are more get it done right now. Business is business, and no relationship of personal matter. Whereas in a high context culture like most South American countries, you have to have that personal relationship. Without that personal relationship, they don't want to do business with you, and it takes a longer time. Whereas that low context culture is then there, get it done and out. Now, the business contracts. Okay, so in a low context culture, a business contract is ironclad. There is no adjusting. There is no, I want to change something at some point. It's done. Once everything's signed, you cannot change. Whereas in a high context culture, a business contract is flexible. You can make alterations, depending on what you want if you change your mind about something.
And that has to do with the personal relationship. So the United States, we don't need to make a personal relationship with you in order to do business with you. If we have the stats and the facts, we'll do business with you. But if you don't trust me and you're from South America and we're from France or the United States, it doesn't matter how rich you are or how good you are at your job. We don't trust you. We're not going to do business with you. We're not going to change your contract.
They're going to find it sketchy trying to get in and out.
Yeah, exactly.
Same with France.
And so, business contracts are very, very strict in the United States. Obviously, we take those to court. But if you have a personal relationship in South America, it doesn't really matter. Yeah.
So after seeing all these differences among these cultures, we can be sure that whenever you're going to do business with someone that has another culture, you may want to check what are the differences. Because if you don't, there's some consequences like not achieving goals and objectives, offending customers, or even prospective business partners. You can even lose the respect from your business if you insult in some way another person's culture. Also, you create a negative image of your business by doing that, and you may be able to sign a contract with other companies.
Or not assuming other businesses, if you go against these cultural values of the other person, no one else is going to want to do business with you, because if you're not going to put in the time to learn about their culture, that means you're not going to put the time in for the business.
And that you're not interested in that business either.
Yeah. So just some things that we talked about. These cultural values are important in any business, but even just in everyday life, because we're at Southeastern Louisiana University and there's people from 2 different cultures that are living here. So I need to know their norms, because if Cecilia comes up and tries to kiss me on the cheek, I need to know why she's doing that, or I'd be like, whoa, that's not normal. But it also has to do with business. So making strategic business decisions. So if you know that they're touchy and that they like personal contact, you're going to go and do that. And they might not be expecting that because you're from the U.S. They might know your cultural values as well. You want to be successful. Like Cecilia said, you can have conflicts if you don't know the culture. So every success is vital. It's vital for success. And you can also use their beliefs as leverage. So knowing that they don't like wine, or knowing that they want something very nice in France, you can use that to your advantage. Just see it as an opportunity rather than a challenge. It's not hard to get to know other cultures, and it's actually quite interesting. So use it as an opportunity to get to know them more, and just keep a good image of your company as a whole. Word of mouth is very important. So just make sure that everybody wants to keep doing business with you and that you have a good image. And thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.